Hi everyone, in this video I want to explain a little bit more about the money market. In my previous video, I tried to explain the overall kind of demand and supply in the money market. In this video, I'm trying to show you some graphs. So watch both videos to learn more about money market. So I'm going to start with demand for money. Just like any market, money market also has two sides, demand and supply. If you recall from chapter 3, we talked about the demand and supply in perfect competition market. Now we have a different market here. So again, just like chapter 3, we need to have a price and quantity. The price here in this market will be our interest rate, okay? So if you don't recall demand and supply, I definitely encourage you guys to review chapter 3 because again, demand and supply in the money market is very, very similar to chapter 3. We're just changing the price in this market. We are trying to figure out the shape of demand, the shape of the supply. We're going to define money demand and also money supply. So pretty much the same steps that we took also in chapter 3. So let's just start with the demand for money, or MD. So demand for money, or MD, is going to show the relationship between the price, which is, again, I'm repeating, is the interest rate in this market, and the quantity. If you remember in chapter 3, we distinguish between the quantity that consumers want and demand and the quantity that producers supply. It's the same thing here. So our money demand shows the relationship between this interest rate and the quantity of money that the buyers demand. We're going to call that quantity of money demanded, and then we're going to call the quantity that suppliers are supplying. The supplier here for us is the central bank or the Federal Reserve. So our quantity supplied is called quantity of money supplied. So our MD, or demand for money, or money demand, shows the relationship between the interest rate and quantity of money demanded. And our MS, money supply, or the supply for money, shows the relationship between the interest rate and the quantity of money supplied. So again, the quantity of money demanded is the amount of money that buyers want to hold, and the quantity of money supplied is the quantity that the central bank, as the single supplier in the market, is basically supplying in the market. Okay, so let's just start with the shape of our money demand. Just like chapter 3, we are going to put our price on the y-axis. Our price here is the interest rate, which is nothing but the opportunity cost of holding money, okay? Remember, we defined opportunity cost in the first chapter. If you don't remember the definition of opportunity cost, definitely review chapter 1. And then on the x-axis, just like chapter 3, we have our quantity. So since I'm going to draw our MD here for you, so I'm going to put my quantity of money demanded. I'm going to kind of abbreviate this with QDM. So that's the quantity of money demanded. QDM, that will be the quantity of money demanded. And just like chapter 3, our MD, our demand here, is downward slope. So this is our MD. So telling us that there is an inverse relationship between the interest rate and the quantity of money that we hold, individuals basically hold. And why is that? Why we have this inverse relationship? Why we have a downward slope demand for our money? So if interest rate increases, since the interest rate here is the opportunity cost of holding money, it tells us that actually holding money is more expensive. So interest rate is higher. So you are going to hold less money. That's the quantity demanded for money. This quantity will go down. You have opportunities outside in the stock market, in the bond market. So instead of holding your money in the bank, let's say in your checking deposit or in a pillow at home, it's better actually to buy a stock, to buy bonds, because you are going to make more money. So if the interest rate is higher, you are going to hold less money. So your quantity demanded for money will go down. Or you can think about this interest rate as the interest rate on the saving account. So again, instead of holding your money in your pocket, you are going to put your money in the saving account at the bank because you are earning interest. You can make more money. And if interest rate goes down, your quantity demanded for money will go up. Now you have less incentives to put your money in the saving account, to buy a stock, to buy bonds. So you are going to hold more money. So because of this inverse relationship between interest rate and quantity of demanded for money, we have this shape for our money demand. It's a downward slope. Okay, just like chapter 3. Okay, now let's talk about the supply for money. Again, to figure out the shape of this money supply, we should look at the relationship between interest rate and the quantity of money supply. But there is something tricky about this quantity of money supplied in the money market. Since the Federal Reserve as a central bank is in charge of tracking, controlling the supply of the quantity of money supplied in the market. So this quantity of money supplied at a given time is fixed. And the only authority that can change this quantity of money supplied is the Federal Reserve. So it doesn't really matter what the interest rate is in the market. This quantity is going to be fixed. So again, I'm going to put my interest rate, which is the price in this market, on the y-axis. And since I'm going to draw my supply here, I am going to put the quantity here. This is the quantity of money supplied, QSM. That's how I'm abbreviating the quantity of money supplied. So if the interest rate in the market is, let's say, 1%, the quantity of money supplied in the market, let's say, is 10 trillions of dollars, okay? If the interest rate is 1.5%, the quantity of money supplied is still 10 trillions of dollars. If the interest rate goes up to 2%, this quantity is still the same. The quantity doesn't change because the Federal Reserve keeps track of this amount of money which is supplied in the money market. So at the given time, the quantity of money supplied is fixed. Doesn't matter what's going on in the interest rate, what's happening to the interest rate, this is still fixed. That's why instead of the upward slope, which is the typical shape for the supply, we have a vertical supply here. So this is our MS, which is vertical. And the reason we have this vertical supply of money is because the quantity of money supply is fixed by the Federal Reserve. If the Federal Reserve wants to change the quantity of money in the market, then you can see a shift in money supply. If the Federal Reserve wants to inject more money in the market, so the money supply will shift rightward. If the Federal Reserve wants to decrease the quantity of money in the market, then the money supply will shift leftward. Same thing here. If our demand for money increases, we're going to shift our money demand rightward. If the money demand decreases, we will have a leftward shift.